Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to the Fascast, your weekly podcast of everything football. We got fantasy, all the predictions, all the betting, news, you name it. It's all football here. We're going to be every single Thursday morning, 8 a.m. And today, I am joined here by the Fast Brothers. Let's get right into it, boys. What do we got today, brother?
Well, we're going to start off as we do every week, and we're going to dive right into pick'ems. I feel like last week was just not a good week for me personally. It was a rough one. There were some games that I thought were going to go a certain way, just didn't. But, that's the nature of betting. So we're going to start off with Thursday night football. This one is definitely an eyeball avoider. I think I'm probably going to be okay with not getting drunk on Thursday watching football for this one. It's the Denver Broncos in New Orleans against the Saints. However, the Saints have the underdog at plus 2.5 for the spread. And I think I'm taking that spread for the Saints. I don't hate what I saw from Spencer Rattler. I mean, obviously, it's his first game in the NFL. Denver's pass rush is pretty intense. I don't know. Both teams are kind of poopy right now. The Saints, obviously, they have the ability to pop off, as we saw early in the year. Maybe we see it again. Denver's holding strong. I don't know what's going on in Denver, what they're putting in the water, but it's going well. So, I don't know. This one's kind of tough, but I'm going to take the spread for the Saints at plus 2.5.
Alrighty. For me, I think this is going to be a fairly close matchup. However, I got to give it to the Broncos. They were down against the Chargers for a little bit and then kind of trickled their way back. Obviously didn't win, but they made it close. They made it competitive. I got the Broncos this game. I'm rocking with them. I think their defense is going to hold up against New Orleans. So I'm going to take the Denver Broncos spread at minus 2.5.
You know what, brother? First, brother. I'm glad you said the Rizzler or Riddler. Yeah, he was actually surprisingly pretty good. Yeah, I didn't have any real complaints there. He's rookie coming, dude. I think he's got like the Derek Carr backup, like perfect vibes here. I didn't hate what I saw. But yeah, I'm taking the Broncos minus 2.5. I think they have their bounce back game. Defense, I don't know. You got to play this has got to be like a Kamara game for 40 points again, or it's Broncos take over. For this, I just got them minus 2.5. I agree with Caleb.
All right, well, I'm the lone man out. Feels bad, but we continue. On to Sunday, we got the early game. 9:30 in the morning, Patriots, Jaguars, back-to-back eyeball avoiders. It's not a good start this week for the NFL. I don't know why you would put these two teams out of the country to represent the NFL to play football. Maybe it's because they're not used to American football and they think that anything that they see is good, but this is not going to be a good game to watch. That being said, I think both teams are struggling heavily. But I think New England covers the spread here, honestly, at plus 5.5. It's a big spread. New England has Drake May in still instead of Jacoby Brissett. Jacksonville just does not look good. They haven't looked good all year. It's pitiful there in Jacksonville, so I'm going to take New England covering the spread just because I want to.
Yeah, this is definitely my biggest ouchie ooh boo boo ouchie wow wow eyeball avoider this week. This is not going to be a great game whatsoever. However, Drake May performed, I would say, last week when he got the start and he threw, I think it was 3 touchdown passes, and it's a pretty good start. So I kind of like what I see there. Jacksonville, they are just Jacksonville, so I don't think I'm going to see anything too special from them this week. So yeah, I actually think that the Patriots have a good chance to maybe even win this game out in London. Obviously, the Jags have home field advantage. They were there last week too, but I don't know. I think I kind of like what I see from Drake May over there. And at the very least, I think they cover the spread. So I'm gonna go with the New England Patriots plus 5.5.
Oh my gosh, this is one of those things too. I look at, I would say, Drake May looks very promising. Out of all the rookie QBs this year, I would say his first full start, he looked better in his first game than any other of the rookies. Maybe Jaden Daniels is up there, but like you saw the progression from the rest of the rookie QBs, they're just every week better, better, better. Caleb Williams looking better every single week. Bo Nix getting up there. Jaden Daniels is just looking like C.J. Stroud in his first year on a different class. But his first game start looked pretty good, which is exactly why I'm taking the Jaguars minus 5.5 because it's the home field, it's the London game. They're going to win this week. I know that because they win in London every year. They for some reason they just perform better in London. Rough game the first week, obviously out there. I'm taking spread here minus 5.5.
Jacksonville seems to be that team too that holds the records, whatever the case may be. Like we said, when they played Indy in Jacksonville, it's been 10 years since Indy beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville,
Yep.
and now it's 11. But on to the first game in America where they should be: the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings. Now this game, I'm declaring it game of the week. I don't care what anybody else says. This is going to be a fantastic game to watch. Minnesota's coming off a bye, obviously undefeated, as well as the Chiefs. I like what's happening in Detroit. It's obviously very unfortunate what we saw last week with Aiden Hutchinson. That really sucks. You don't want to see that from any player on the field at any time. It's an awful injury. Prayers go out to him. Hopefully he gets, recovered quickly back on the field. But I'm still taking the 2.5 spread for the Lions. And actually, for the first whoopsie daisy of the week, I'm taking the Detroit Lions to dethrone the Minnesota Vikings this week.
You're taking Lions money?
I'm taking Lions money. I think the Vikings, yes, coming off of a bye, are a little bit more rested. I do, however, think that Detroit's offense is extremely good. Obviously, we saw Minnesota's defense. We've seen it all year. They're phenomenal. But being that it's a divisional game and both teams are very tough, I think it's time for the 5-0 Minnesota Vikings to be dethroned, and I am taking the Detroit Lions money line this week.
Wow. All right. Minnesota Vikings obviously coming off a bye. They get their home field advantage this week. And yeah, this is going to be a fantastic game. I think all the NFC North games are going to be. I mean, that's just an insane division right now.
Yeah.
So obviously, every time they get a matchup, it's going to be a good game regardless. This is really tough because I bet against the Minnesota Vikings a couple times now, and they just show no signs of stopping. But the Lions from last week, oh my lord, they did some naughty things to the Cowboys.
We can stop it right there if you want.
Oh yeah, okay, my bad. But they did lose Aiden Hutchinson, which is a huge loss. And with all of that said, I also think the Lions are going to dethrone the Vikings. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. Definitely not an eyeball avoider. This is going to be the one you want to watch, if anything. So I'm going to go with the Lions. I'm going to go with their spread, though. I'm going to go plus 2.5.
All right. Can I get a game of the week? Game of the week.
Oh, my mic doesn't show my clapping.
You'll hear it in the you'll hear it, but yeah, this is gonna be by far the best game of the week. I see it as, and this is what I have to say, the Lions just played their Super Bowl match last week against the Cowboys. They got their hardy har har, woohoo, yeah, we beat the Cowboys, so they put all in their chips after their bye week into the
What was
Cowboys.
that?
That's never mind that. That's them putting all their chips into the Cowboys because of their quote unquote. We're gonna get our revenge for the whole that we beat them last year when we were obviously much better team. They had their Super Bowl. They put everything into their playmaking bye week. They prepared for this for 14 days to come in and beat the Cowboys. Vikings, same thing. They're coming off their bye. I got them at home -2.5. I don't think they slow down here, like Caleb said. I'm not betting against them until I see it. Samuel slinging it. Justin Jefferson back full. He's full health. He's going for 2 touchdowns. I have them Vikings -2.5, and I think they hold their undefeated record.
It'll be definitely game of the week, and I actually look forward to watching that game. Sincerely, I think it's going to be absolutely explosive. On to the next 1 p.m. game. Also, another good game. There's a couple of these down the stretch here. This one I'm excited for as well. The Houston Texans versus the Green Bay Packers. We saw a lot more out of Houston last week than we have previously, and I think it's crazy to me that they have Houston as the underdogs this week. Honestly, I really do. I have their spread. I don't feel comfortable calling it a whoopsie daisy, but on the books, it's a whoopsie daisy. I think the Houston Texans are going to be the Green Bay Packers this week. Actually, it is in Lambeau. I'm keeping the spread, but I don't think the Houston Texans are going to win the game. I'm taking the +3 for Houston. I think it's going to be another great game. This one's kind of just a toss-up either way. Houston can be explosive. They can be slow. Nico Collins is out, though. So we got to look at that. I do like what I see from Tank Dell, however. Joe Mixon has a propensity to go off, so it's going to be a good game regardless, but I'm taking the Houston Texans spread at +3.
Yeah, I think this is. I think for me, this is the runner-up game of the week. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a showing for both teams, a true test for both teams as well. Yeah, Houston Texans losing Nico Collins is pretty big, but I mean their wide receiver room is still completely fine. They got Joe Mixon back, and he looks just as good as he did before he went out. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with Houston's offense. And same thing with Green Bay's offense. I think their offense looks fantastic. I think their defense is pretty good. A lot better than what I thought it was going to be at the start of the year. So yeah, I think this is going to be a great game. It could really go either way, and actually, I think I have the Texans edging it out in the end, mainly because Joe Mixon, man, he has been absolutely phenomenal for the Texans, and I think if they can get that run game going, I think they're gonna just edge out the Green Bay Packers here. I'm gonna go with the spread for the Texans as well at the +3.
Alrighty, guys, here we go.
Here we go.
No, that's still sore subject. We don't go there yet. Yeah. So the past couple times where we had this conversation about the Packers in Lambeau, I bet against them the first time, had them the second time. I think they continuously win in Lambeau. Even though I feel like the Texans will end up having the best record in the NFL this year, I really like their team. I really like their record. I think the effects of the Nico Collins here is going to show a little bit, just enough for the Packers to edge this game out by a field goal. I have them in Lambeau -3. I like what the Packers are doing. I just I like their offense. I like their defense is, I would say, much improved from last year. So these are one of these games that are going to be really awesome too to watch. But in the end, I got the Packers by 3.
I really, really am looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be another good one. These are definitely going to be the 2 games that I will have if I'm not watching Red Zone. I'm going to have them up on both my monitors. On to the Eagles and Giants. This one seems pretty simple to me. +3 for the Giants. And I'll tell you why it's simple. the Eagles are falling apart. I think Nick Sirianni has opened the door for him to get kicked out. I don't think he's going to be the head coach for the Eagles much longer. They are struggling, and it's insane to me because of the offense that they have. They barely beat the Browns last week. And Nick Sirianni was on the sideline trash talking the fans, which is not a good look by any means. This team should be dominant. They should be great. But they're just not. They're so off the cusp, not playing the way they should. And I said this in the beginning of the year. I don't think the Eagles are going to be that team that they were last year. They had a downfall, and they just haven't picked up from it. Now, the New York Giants, on the other hand, Danny Dimes is not playing terribly. Wan'Dale Robinson has picked it up, and they have I'm having a brain fart. What the hell is the guy's name? Neighbors. They have Malik Neighbors coming back. I think they're going to keep it close, and I honestly think it's another divisional matchup, and I think the Giants will come close, and I'm taking the +3 for the Giants.
Yeah, I like you said, it's a divisional game. The New York Giants are, for some reason, that team that likes to keep these games close when they really shouldn't be. They actually look pretty, decent, I think. I mean, Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones, of course, at the end of the day, but Tyrone Tracy, he looked very fantastic in the backfield when Devin Singletary was out. And the Eagles, like you also said, they're just in slump mode right now. They are just not performing. Now, I mean, A.J. Brown is in, and they do have Devonta Smith still in, so they have their weapons. It's just a matter of if they use them or not. But it is hard for me to go with the Giants. However, because it is a divisional game, and because the Giants are weird and like to keep these games close, I will also go with the spread for the Giants, the +3 spread.
Here's what I'll have to say about this game.
Oh, God.
Thank the Lord the Cowboys have a bye week this week, because I never want to witness that abomination ever again on the field, ever. I know this is completely sad. It's in the division, so. But what I think is that we're looking like the last place team in the division right now. I'm liking the Giants, and I'm going to take it one step further. They win this game. For my first whoopsie daisy of the week, I'm taking the Giants money line at home to beat the Eagles. With everything you guys already said, Eagles they got a 4-point win against what seemingly is did you know the only team that hasn't scored more than 20 points this year is the Browns? And they barely squeak out a win. The Eagles barely squeak out a win against them, 2016. I think this is just the vibe check here. The Giants are looking not horrible. They're decent enough to be able to do it. Neighbors coming back. I have a money line for my first whoopsie daisy.
I could definitely see it.
All right. And on that note, we are going to move on to Cincinnati and Cleveland. Oh, God, this game. Hey, did you guys know Cleveland is the only team in the NFL that hasn't scored 20 points?
I didn't
Wait,
actually.
really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so this is nuts, right? Cincinnati has been, honestly, their record has not. It doesn't reflect how well they've actually been playing recently. I mean, a loss against the Ravens, they scored 38 points. They scored 34 against the Panthers, 33 against the Commanders, 25 against the Chiefs. They kept it close in every single one of those games. Obviously, the first game was a loss against the Patriots, which you never want to admit to. But every single game that they've played in has been a shootout. Last week against the Giants, they only scored 17, so they are playing very, very well. And the record does not dictate how well they can play. That being said, they're playing the Cleveland Browns. This one's obvious. I'm taking Cincinnati at -6.5 because the Browns are in shambles. Nobody likes Deshaun Watson, and I think the Browns should sell their franchise.
No.
Well, okay.
That's pretty aggressive.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, maybe. I mean, that's possible.
Oh, I also want to say before Caleb, I apologize for.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it, but yeah, go ahead.
You know, I'll let you mention it then.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah.
Can we wait? Can we wait
I
for?
don't have time to-
No, just go for it.
I mean,
You want me to just go for it?
Yeah, just go for it.
I mean, it's gonna happen regardless. But anyways, Cincinnati Bengals look, offense is great. Cleveland Browns, very terrible. Offense has been pretty terrible. And it got even worse because Amari Cooper to the Bills, baby. Let's go. We finally got our wide receiver one. It's going to be so great. Oh, my God. Spread -6.5. And yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I'll wait to when we do the Bills game to do that. Talk about Amari Cooper a little bit. But yeah, I easily got Bengals -6.5. But I will have a hot take about the Bengals. I actually disagree with brother about how well, quote unquote, well they were playing. I believe this is actually kind of almost like a Cowboys Bengals team where you're supposed to like be a division leader and supposed to be playing good, but I don't think they're there. I don't think they're as strong of a team as people think. And just watching them play for like almost the first half of the year now, I don't know. I'm uncertain on their team and where they're going to go this year. So my hot take is I don't think the Bengals are all that. They've played against pretty bad defenses so far. And if you look at the wins of the teams they played against, yeah, their first win was against the Panthers until they were able to pull it out against the Giants. So those are their 2 wins. But yeah, aside from that, I have them winning against the Browns, especially losing that big offensive piece there. And yeah, the Browns are just in shambles.
Sell the franchise? Okay, anyway.
Sell the franchise.
So let's move on to Tennessee and Buffalo. I don't really know how to feel about this, honestly. Will Levis already has 2 memes from last week. I'm excited to see how many memes he can come up with this week.
It's so great. I absolutely love it.
Dude, they're hilarious. It's so funny. 8.5 is a huge spread. I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to be slotted into the game first week. Got to get familiar with the offense. He might be. I mean, you're just running routes. I said this on the phone earlier with brother, but he might have enough time. But we will see. 8.5 is huge. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about Buffalo's offense. As long as they can get James Cook running, he's been phenomenal this year. They will have a lot of success, I feel, if Amari Cooper's in there and he's catching passes from Josh Allen, the MVP frontrunner. I said it. Don't hate me. It's going to be a good game for Buffalo. I'm taking the spread for Buffalo 8.5 just because I'm confident and I love the Buffalo Bills and I want them to win by 40.
Yeah, well, I do too. And I mean, this is a home game for the Bills. After their close win against the Jets, and the refs too. I mean, that game was. I don't even want to go really too far into that because there was like 200 yards and penalties for that game. Horrible calls on both sides of the field, not just for the Bills. But it was an interesting game to say the least. But I do believe Amari Cooper, as long as he can get the playbook all ready and to go, I think he will be playing. But the Titans, as memey as Will Levis is, their defense is kind of it's nothing to really be too lenient on. They have a good defense. They have a decent team. They play physical. They like to keep it close. And with that being said, I think this is going to be a massive game for the Bills. I think we're going to score 90 points, and we're going to take it at home -8.5. Go Bills.
That'd be pretty impressive if that actually happens. Before I comment about anything about this game, what is your favorite weekly meme picture of Will Levis so far?
Oh, that's a good one.
There's so many. I have to.
It's got to be the massage gun when he was getting massage. The
That
face
was
on the bench.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I think
crying
that's my
thing?
favorite.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm torn between either the Spidey hands
I was just about to say that.
or when he's literally horizontal and he's throwing like the underhand ball that like threw for the interception. Those
So
two
I
are like absolutely hilarious to me.
Yeah, the Spidey.
Those are the
hands.
classics.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spidey hands. It's so funny. Like why? What are you doing? I
Yeah,
like the
it's
sweaty
great.
hands, and then I also like him like on his knees with his hands behind his helmet, like like
It's so fun. I get a kick out of it every time I see it. It's just so funny. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I got Bills -8.5. They are gonna absolutely blow the doors off the Titans. Not even close.
well,
Cool.
I love that. All right, so Seattle and Atlanta, the birds, the two bird teams. We got birds flying. Birds. I'm gonna take Atlanta -3. I think Seattle's kind of fallen off the hinges a little bit. We saw them kind of go crazy the past few weeks with the amount of points they've been scoring, but lately, I mean, they got 3 straight losses against the Lions, one against the Giants, which was kind of crazy, and then against the Niners, who are struggling. To be fair, in the beginning of the season, they beat the Broncos, Patriots, and Dolphins. Not great teams. I mean, the Broncos are playing pretty well right now, but I digress. They're playing a tough opponent in the Atlanta Falcons, and I don't think they have what it takes to even keep the game within 7 points. So I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going to take the -3 spread for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. Like you said, Seahawks, they kind of lost their way a little bit. Yeah, it's all around hasn't looked too great. Their offense hasn't been clicking like it did a couple of games ago. Their defense obviously still struggling. Yeah, Atlanta Falcons came off a win, but I mean, their offense definitely slimmed down a little bit, which should have been a surefire 400-point game for them. But it is what it is. I think the Falcons at home are just going to come out, and I think they're just going to do what they do against the Seattle Seahawks. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be too close. I definitely think it'll probably be over touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons. So yeah, I'll go with the -3 spread for the Falcons.
All right. Well, literally based on what brother was saying at first, they're three in a row loss, and literally for that reason, the bounce back for my second whoopsie daisy, if you consider it, it's +3 sped.
Oh yeah.
I am taking the Seahawks money line. I think they win this game. They don't go down four in a row. This is their bounce back game. I'm looking for that game that they had, the shootout game that they had prime time against the Lions. I want to see that offense kick off again. I think this is where they do it against the Falcons. I have a money line going in for my second whoopsie daisy of the week. Let's go.
That is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, I will say so myself. Anyway. Honestly, I don't hate it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate it. It is crazy. I don't hate it. But you're wrong. Anyway, Miami Dolphins, Indianapolis Colts. This one also might be an eyeball avoider. I'm not gonna lie. See, this is all contingent pretty much on one thing and one thing only, and that is
Tua?
Father Time Joe Flacco.
I think they already said that Anthony Richardson's playing.
Is it confirmed?
I believe so.
I
Yes,
know that.
I believe it's
I know that
confirmed.
they said if he was healthy, he'd be playing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like an almost kind of game time decision last week, so I'm pretty sure it's like a 98% chance he plays
Yeah, I know
this
there was
week.
a high percentage of him being healthy and playing last week. This week against the Dolphins, obviously this is a good game for him to get back into rhythm. Now, I have a thing about quarterbacks, and we can talk about this. You know what? Everyone take note of this right now. This is a hint for things to come. We can talk about this later. We'll dive into it a little bit more. I think this is contingent on Joe Flacco. If he does start, it probably won't because of, they already said that Richardson's their guy as long as he's healthy, whatever. I do, however, think that the Colts will cover the spread at -3. I think Anthony Richardson is kind of scared of losing his job, so he's not going to be that much of a dumbass. He might run all over the Dolphins. We'll see. But I think the Colts will take this one -3. The Dolphins are just in shambles. Tua is probably not coming back this year, even though they want him to. I don't think he should. I think he should walk away from football, but that's besides the point. I got Indy -3 at home.
Yeah. I for me, I don't think it matters who plays this one. The Dolphins, without their starting quarterback, have lacked an offense. I think they're like the worst rated offensive team right now, in the NFL, which is not great at all. I'm pretty sure it's even behind the Panthers. So yeah, it's been a struggle for them, and I mean they have. I mean, H.N. is going to be playing, Hill is going to be playing, Waddle is going to be playing. It just all depends on how they utilize these guys. But I don't know. With their quarterback play right now, I just don't see him generating enough offense to really get it done. I think with the Colts' explosive plays that they have, especially with Alec Pierce and those giant bombs that they love to throw, I think they'll take this game. I'll take the Colts -3.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad you all guys went first, because for my third whoopsie daisy of the week, Miami Dolphins going
You're
into
nuts.
Indianapolis, taking the win here. Anthony Richardson, I believe he doesn't get it done against the Dolphins. I believe in Mike McDaniels. I think he has a game plan here where he's going to shape their team to win this game. This is a must win, save the season. I know the best quarterback in the whole entire league is out, but I believe he should play because, heroes, as you remember from the old Sandlot movie, are remembered, but legends, as in Tua Tagovailoa, never die. He's coming back this year. He's saving the season. I believe this is kind of almost in the category of you have to win game. I got Dolphins money line for my third, yes sir, whoopsie daisy of the week.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's quite bonkers, but I respect it. On to
You guys are going to be really surprised this week.
I
Trust.
guarantee you.
I have
that's not gonna
insider
be one of them.
information.
That's you heard it here, folks. There's insider information. If it is invalid.
It must be the CTE ESPN.
Okay, on to the first of the 4:05 games on Sunday night. We got the Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders. That first week for Carolina was pretty nuts. The Red Rocket coming out and showing up and being the starting quarterback that the Carolina Panthers needed for 1 week. But Thielen is, I believe, still out on the injury report. The Commanders just, dude, they look so good. Who would have thought that they'd be 4-2, just absolutely running through people. The Commanders look great. The spread is 7.5. It's a pretty big spread, but I mean they're at home. They're on a roll. They're playing incredibly well. The Panthers are not. So this one to me is pretty easy. I am going to take the spread at 7.5.
Yeah. Panthers against Washington Commanders. Very high rated offense. Very low rated offense. I mean, the only thing that's maybe worrisome for me is the Commanders' defense, which hasn't really showed up too much, especially against the Ravens. But this is not the Ravens they're playing; it's the Panthers. Yeah, I think this isn't going to be very close. I think Commanders kind of wipe the floor here. I think actually I think it'll be a little closer than people might think. I don't think it's going to be a total blowout, but yeah, I'm going with the Commanders -7.5 here.
All right, so yeah, much like the Bills and Titans, they're gonna absolutely blow the doors off the Panthers. I got Commanders -7.5 as well. I believe the Commanders are looking a lot like the Cowboys. Past couple of years, they do really really well against the teams that are I guess quote unquote like tomato cans that are really bad. And I believe that's going to be the case this game. I think yeah, they just absolutely demolish them. I got the spread too.
Well, there you have it. Commanders are going to roll the Carolina Panthers. Do you have insider information on that one too there,
All
buddy?
of them. Every single one
All
of them.
right. Well, then you should be undefeated, but you're not, so something's wrong. All right, on to the next 4:05 game. The Raiders and the Rams. The Raiders just lost a huge piece in Devontae Adams. Going to the New York Jets. They no longer have a stud wide receiver one. They have Aiden O'Connell trying to lead the way at quarterback. The Rams, on the other hand, do we know? Do you guys happen to know when they're getting Cooper Cup back?
And
It's either this week.
I really, because I was banking on that for my whole entire explanation for mine. But yes, I believe he's coming back this week.
I think there's a
know.
low probability he's back. Actually,
There's
I think
a
right now it's on the
possibility.
low end
He's
side.
still listed as questionable, but he's
Yeah.
back. So
From what I see, it's a 50-50 at a workout yesterday. So we're still waiting. Literally a 50-50 at this point. Obviously, throughout the week, we're going to find more out. But with Cooper Cup back, it would be absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if the Rams are going to be able to cover the spread here. It's a pretty big spread, and even though the Raiders just lost Devontae Adams, it's I don't know. I think it's too big for me. So I'm going to take the Raiders spread at 6.5. Rams
Yeah,
win the
well.
game, I believe, but I will say that the spread is covered at 6.5.
Yeah, I will say, if Cooper Cup comes back, I don't think this game will be very close. The Raiders, I mean, the defense, they keep things somewhat close. But with Kyron Williams and possibly Cooper Cup in the mix, I think have a little bit of a lick of their offense that they had near the beginning of the season. Obviously, with their one win, maybe with Puka Nakua still out, Cooper Cup gets 30 targets instead of his 22 that he had in this game. But we'll have to see there. So yeah, for me, I think the Rams win this one. By how much is still a question. They kind of like to lose games they probably shouldn't. But yeah, as far as I know, if Cooper Cup plays, I'm gonna go with the -6.5 at SoFi Stadium.
yeah, I'm gonna agree. I believe I'm gonna say this is the return Cooper Cup game. Regardless, I think even if he doesn't, I'm gonna still take the Rams -6.5. I just watched the Steelers score 16 points against, or the the Raiders score 16 points against the Steelers. Yes, their defense is very stellar, but yeah, losing that piece. Even though I still feel like I see it as like Devontae wasn't a huge piece to their offense. Yeah, he's a wide receiver one. He's absolutely phenomenal. But I don't think the Raiders did a well enough job designing to get the ball to him a whole lot. But yeah, regardless, losing that piece is a huge hit. Aiden O'Connell just kind of, I don't know, it seems like a decision like, yeah, let's just throw him in there and see what happens. Almost like the Mac Jones and Billy Zappi with the Patriots last year. Yeah, and same as last week, I bet against them because they're in complete shambles. We won that one. It's the same thing this one. I was almost surprised that the spread was so high, but yeah, I think just looking at this a little closely, I think the Rams easily win by a touchdown.
Yeah, this one might be an eyeball avoider. I don't know because the Rams obviously have a propensity to have a stellar offense, but they both let up a lot of points per game. A lot. Both at 27 points per game. So we'll see. On to the Chiefs and Niners. The old Super Bowl matchup. And I will say this. The Niners don't look nearly as good as I thought they would. Obviously, CMC being out is a huge piece, but they have people everywhere that should suffice. The Chiefs don't really have much in a way. Like they just lost Rasheed Rice. They still have Travis Kelsey, but he's not Travis Kelsey of old. He kind of turned into a blocking tight end until like last week or so. He had a pretty good game. But I will say for my second whoopsie daisy of the week, if you want to call it that, it's only 1.5. But my second whoopsie days of the week, I'm taking the Chiefs over the Niners this week. I hate to do it. I really do. I really hate to do it. The Chiefs are at +1.5. they are the underdogs essentially for this game. Well, I don't know. Something about the referee is just, especially after watching the Jets Bills game on Monday. I mean, what are we doing? I feel like the refs are taking over this year, and if that's the case, the Chiefs are going to win 7 straight Super Bowls. So, I'm going to take the Chiefs over the Niners.
Yeah, this is the first game we saw without Rashi Rice. He was pretty much gone for the entirety of the other game too. But I mean, they were missing a lot of key offensive. Rashi Rice is out. Pacheco is still out. But even with all that, they still kind of showed that it doesn't really matter. Andy Reid is going to coach from any position and still put up a fight every single game. It's going to be a close one. We already know that because that's just what Kansas City likes to do. Um, 49ers, they don't look as great as they normally do. I know Jordan Mason went out with a shoulder injury. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to be playing this week. I would imagine he does, but even so, I think it's definitely going to be a close match. This one is going to be one of those ones where uh, you can bet if you want, but I probably wouldn't. But I'm actually going to hedge my bets towards San Francisco at home. I think I'm just going to keep betting against Kansas City until they lose because my own biases.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I'm going San Francisco at home. I'm gonna go with the -1.5 only because I think it'll be hopefully a field goal type of game.
Alrighty, yeah, Super Bowl rematch. Niners are off the or they're off a bye? No, no, who they
no,
play?
Chiefs are.
Nope.
Chiefs are off the
Chiefs
bye.
are.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and just because I did a little boop 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 before this, Patrick Mahomes against the spread, according to the boop 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 boop, is 12-1. So he's only lost one game against the spread, and as much as everyone wants the Chiefs to burn and light on fire, I'm gonna have
Yep,
to
keep
take
going.
the Chiefs
Keep going.
+1.5 here. I think they get the best of the Niners again, and yeah, that's all I got for it. Is that they just somehow keep finding a way to win, whatever the case is. They they just win games, and 12-1 against the spread. I can't bet against that, especially this being so close as a pick'em game. I think I got the Chiefs +1.5 here.
Yeah, this one's ultra annoying because I really do want the Chiefs to lose from here on out, like never win a game again. But
I think
that's
we all do. I think we all do. Yeah.
all right, on to the late game for Sunday: the Jets versus Steelers. I don't know if you guys heard, but Devontae Adams is going to the Jets.
Wait, what? Really? When did that happen? No.
Uh, so the Jets are plugging in Devontae Adams. Obviously, a lot of history with Aaron Rodgers on the Packers back in the day. The Steelers. Oh God. We'll talk about this in a minute here, and not too much longer. So hang out of your seats. Steelers are 4-2. Jets are 2-4. But I personally, honestly, think the Jets are a better team. The Steelers have a stellar defense, but their offense is just all over the place. Um, to be fair, the Jets' offense is all over the place as well, but they have, I guess, more weapons. They have a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They now have Devontae Adams. They have Garrett Wilson, who's also a stud. They have Brees Hall, who's supposed to be dominating, but he's just not. And
He had a
Braylon
great game
Allen
last game.
he did. He did have a great game last game. He did. It was the Bills, so any person that is starting a running back against the Bills, no matter who it is, start them, and they'll probably pop off for 3 touchdowns. But I think the Jets are a better team than their record shows. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Jets spread at -1.5, and I think it's going to be more than that. I think they're going to win by at least a field goal to the Steelers, even though it is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is going to be a defensive matchup here, I think. Obviously, the New York Packers, as I'm going to be referring to them now,
The New York Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, it's pretty much it's the Packers. Um, they, even with that coach change, I really thought they're gonna have that little miracle there, but it wasn't entirely there. They definitely did get Garrett Wilson more involved. They got the run game a little bit more involved, which was good to see for them.
Yep.
Um, I think that's going to be key. I think they still have some things to work out, of course, obviously. Um, the addition of Devonta Adams, if he's ready to go, I think the Steelers are going to have a little bit too much trouble in that secondary. I think they're going to have too much to look out for. I think their play action game is going to be very key, especially if they can get that run game going against the Steelers. I Yeah, and with the quarterback changes going on with the Steelers, it's trending towards the Packers for this one. So I'm going to go -1.5 for the New York Packers.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I was gonna mention the same thing. Is I think the offense looked pretty fiery in the start there. Brees Hall, a lot more involvement. Loved it. Had a great game. Uh, they're finding. I think of the little bit of game management, kind of chaos sort of thing. Missing the head coach went on a little bit there in the game. I think they cleaned that up a little bit. I like what I saw like changing with the offense. Just that slight bit. I feel like I noticed it being a little, just that significantly better that I saw, especially adding Devonte Adams now, and Aaron Rodgers and him already have that connection. As Caleb says, they have the full Packers core there. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna take them -152. I think it's a horrible decision at this point to switch QBs. I feel like Justin Fields has been holding it down really well. And yes, this is going to be a very highly defensive matchup. But I mean, with the Steelers' offense and throwing in a new QB, and it's already like they had a great high scoring game last time, but already like kind of in that lower points per game range. And the spike at offense with the Jets and moving pieces and finding a way to get to the ball to their essential players, I got a -1.5 as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning towards with Pittsburgh is their whole QB situation, which we'll get into here in a second. On to Monday night, 8:15, the Ravens and the Bucks in Tampa. This one should be glaringly obvious, and I'm very surprised at what is happening here to my eyeballs on DraftKings. They have the Ravens favored at -3.5, but for my third whoopsie daisy, and I'm slamming this one on the table.
My God.
I am taking the Bucks at home +3.5, easy, and that's
Wow.
all I'm gonna say about that.
Are you going the whoopsie days or not whoopsie days? You kind of led
yeah,
towards.
oh yeah, whoopsie, 100%, yeah.
So you're taking money.
Oh yeah, yep,
Okay.
yeah. My bad. Money line, 100% Bucks. They're winning at home against Baltimore, and that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it happen. The Ravens look absolutely incredible, though. Derrick Henry is absolutely cooking. Lamar Jackson, he has been MVP level. I'd fortunately say. Right now, I think he's earning the MVP more so this year than he did last year. But it's whatever. Um, yeah, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, wow, their offense. I mean, how about they score 51? I think was it last week against the Saints. I said the Saints defense might actually hold up, but it did not. I mean, Daddy Mayfield, Baker Mayfield.
You keep doing that.
He had a great game. I think he had 3 interceptions, but we don't look at those. We look at the end result, 51 points. Bucky Irving had a fantastic game. Tyrone Tracy, shout out Syracuse. He had or not. No, what was his name? Oh shoot, whatever. Yeah, the backup running back for Tampa. He had a fantastic game alongside Bucky Irving. But yeah, I think this is again going to be an offensive matchup. However, I think the Tampa's defense has not been doing great. And with that said, I'm probably going to go with 14 easy.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I think Daddy Mayfield pulls it out in the end, and I think the Baltimore Ravens get whoopsie daisied.
That
Oh my.
would be a sight to see, but I can't believe you guys are deciding against. No, I'm actually going with the Ravens here, -3.5. You guys really, you thought I was
Probably
doing
the-
it. You thought I was gonna do
probably
it, but
responsible.
no.
really
I mean, just like everything when you guys were aside, like Ravens are. They're in their prime right now. Derrick Henry, what is he doing? Like 700 yards a game or something right now. Leading touchdown NFL. I think he has the highest yards per game and carries, if I'm not wrong. There NFL. Their run game is absolutely next level, and Buccaneers with an already kind of down their run defense. I don't see him stopping at all for this. Going into Tampa, weather's pretty nice down here. I think they have a great game as well. As much as I like, because you can put Baker right up there, not even kidding, with MVP of conversation. Lamar's right up there too for a three-peat. I think this is going to be a great quarterback battle. 51 points, as Caleb said, that was awesome showing. But I think the Ravens are just on their prime game right now, and I'm going to take them -3.5.
Well, that is something. You did get me. You had me in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I thought it was the whoopsie
yeah.
daisy sweep there.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was happening. But so the 9 p.m. game, Chargers Cardinals.
Sean Tucker, by the way. Sean Tucker was the running back's name.
And there it is.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I personally think the Chargers are playing very well. This one's kind of tough in a way that Arizona can pop off, but they haven't been. They have not been playing very well. This one for me, quite simply, I'm just taking the Chargers at -2.5, even though it is in Arizona. I really don't have anything severe to go off of here. I just think the Chargers have it in the bag. Like last week against Denver, it was against Denver, right? I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, against Denver. 23 points on an insane defense that the Broncos have this year. They're playing very well. J.K. Dobbins went for almost 100 yards, had a touchdown. Josh Herbert is playing better than I thought he would with his ankle sprain. So I'm taking the Chargers at -2.5 over the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm also going to be taking the -2.5 spread for the Chargers, and I do have a couple of reasons. I'll get more deeper into it in a little bit here when we start talking about injuries. But yeah, Cardinals, it's the COD deal too. They just, everything's running through James Conner, but it's not as efficient as it was in the first couple of weeks. And especially with the injury of Marvin Harrison Jr., which once again I will talk a little bit more about in a little bit. But yeah, I think the Chargers are just going to be a lot more solid of a football team coming into this game. So I'm going to go with them with the -2.5.
You kind of almost stole it from me there a little bit, but I just have 2 words to say about this game.
Oh God!
Please don't say whoopsie daisy.
COD deal. Chargers -2.5. Cardinals season is over.
Yeah, well, there's that.
That's it. Same
right.
reason as last week. That's it. Chargers -2.5.
deal.
Cardinals season's
So
over. COD
I'm
deal.
assuming that we can just expect every single weekend.
Every single week. It's over.
Yep. We can just expect when the Arizona Cardinals pick comes up, Justin's just going to say,
You didn't even have to go to me. You already know what it is. It's over.
So, next week we're skipping you. Okay. So, there's your pick'ems. Lock them in. There's a couple close ones, a couple blowouts. This is kind of, as the season develops, this is kind of what happens. This is kind of, it gets easier to tell and easier to predict in a way that, you see the team's identities and things like that. Speaking of, I just want to talk about the Detroit Lions because I said something about Aiden Hutchinson going down, which is a huge blow to the Lions defense. I did have them winning over the Vikings this week. but I wanted to talk about impact injuries for teams, whether it be players that just got hurt and what it's going to mean for the rest of the year, or players that were hurt in the beginning of the year, either before the season started or got hurt after like the first couple weeks or whatever. I want to talk about the impacts and the players and how we feel about the situation. So for me, for example, one person that I really hated getting injured uh, was Matt Milano, but that's not the person I want to talk about. Matt Milano is obviously a huge piece going down for the Bills. I want to talk about DeForest Buckner on the Indianapolis Colts. The reason I want to talk about him is because the Colts currently have the second worst rushing defense in the entire league. They just, I mean, we thought the Bills were bad. The Bills are letting up 140 rush yards per game. The Colts are 15 yards over that, which doesn't seem like a lot, but they're letting up a lot of rush yards and they're paying for it. The record is not good. DeForest Buckner is an animal. He started his career with San Francisco. Uh, Only got through two games this year. He's missed, I think, one game in his entire career due to injury, and that was in his rookie season. One game due to injury, and he's kind of a guy that'll float around, 6 sacks. He gets about 40 solo tackles a year. He's a very dominant presence for the run game up the middle. He, he's just a big dude, and he's a great player. He's a force for the Colts, but he's on the IR. I think he was cleared to come back this week, but he's still in a boot, so it's not going to happen. They might wait until, I believe they have a bye next week, so they might wait till after the bye to bring him back, which is going to be good for them. So, brother Caleb, I'm interested to know who your impact injury is for this year.
Yeah. So injury impact here. I did mention it a couple minutes ago here, but for the Cardinals, that our dark horse team. Obviously, we have the head injury for Kyler Murray with the Call of Duty thing. That's gonna mess up his head for the whole entire season. Obviously, we know that, but now we have the whole concussion with Marvin Harrison Jr. Uh, and that's a big one. Obviously, it'll only be for a couple of weeks. But it's still the number one. That's their number 2 draft pick, right? It was he went number 2, right? Anyways, yeah, he's a big key piece of their offense, especially in their wide receiver core. I mean, up next, who do you even got? Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. These are guys that they kind of know what they're doing, but still, it's definitely not the top talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. And pretty much most of their touches have really just gone straight to the backfield. I mean, James Conner is taking a lot of hits. I mean, they're rushing like 20 times a game, dishing it off to him. Have to use Dave Mercado to kind of give it a little fallback for James Conner, but right now it's not looking up for sure for the Arizona Cardinals. So for the future for them, I mean, if he's good to go in a couple of weeks, we might be able to see an all right passing game from them. But for right now, as it is, with what they got going on, it's definitely not looking good for the Cardinals. And the big one definitely is the head injury for Kyler Murray. Yeah, that he doesn't actually have one, by the way. I just want to preface that it's all on the COD. So yeah, my dark horse team, which me and Justin both thought they're going to be coming off really hot. Right now, it's not looking good for them anymore. So, yeah.
I do really like that because he also had a very heavy excitement factor coming into the league.
He did, yeah.
He was pick 4, by the way. I looked it up. He was pick 4.
Close
Pick 4, yes. Yeah.
Is it my turn?
It's you. Go
All
for
right,
it.
that's me. I have a couple. I want to say, yeah, I'm going to say they're pretty obvious ones for big impacts. First one I want to talk about is, and I hinted it a little bit with our pick'ems, Nico Collins being out for the next few weeks. I think they're gonna feel the effects of this. Yes, very high on CJ Stroud. I think he's that guy. They're still looking like that top tier AFC best record winners. I feel like because Nico Collins has a huge piece in the offense, and I'll tell you, he already has 3 games for over 100 yards, nearly four. Actually, I'd say pretty close. He's 20 yards off for both of those for every single week. Double digit targets almost every single week, and I feel like they're gonna kind of feel like against a better opponent here going into Lambeau, that effect of missing him in that huge impact offense, which is why it highly hindered my -3 to the Packers this week. But that's going to be like my biggest piece injury impact for the Texans, and I think they're going to need him back and get that production to. And it's only a few weeks out here, but once they get later into the season and getting ready to go into their playoff push, I feel like they are actual Super Bowl contenders. They might be one of the teams, and I know they play the Chiefs later, so we're kind of going to see a matchup going into the postseason, what it would look like if they meet each other again in the postseason. But yeah, that's going to be a huge piece to get back for the Texans to continue their push. Briefly on the other two I had, the really obvious ones. Cooper Kupp coming back, we all mentioned it too. I think that's going to take the Rams to their 1-win season to being a little bit more competitive and taking out some wins out of these NFC teams that are also going to be in their late season pushes for the playoffs. I think just adding him back and Puka Nacua not long following after, they're going to be scoring a lot of points, and it's going to be kind of one of those situations where, was it last year or the year before, where they had a really, really, really slow start and then all of a sudden they made the playoffs going into the second half of the year. I think it might almost be that situation again, where they're getting their pieces back, they're coming off the injuries, all their whole entire starting roster is getting out of the hospital and getting back on the field. But it might be one of those, like adding just that Cooper Kupp, quickly following Puka. They're going to be a hard team to beat later in the season. So that's my huge impact coming back. Also, a pretty obvious one, CMC. You can't sleep on the 49ers, even though they're kind of underperforming at what we expected. I think he's a really big piece. We can't sleep on the number 1 RB last year by far. When he comes back, they're going to be contenders. You can't fall asleep on, even though they seem like they're kind of hidden in the shadows right now. That division 2 is going to be
Up for grabs.
pretty close too, yeah. So
Yeah.
once they get that piece, that's another playoff push team. Then I'm looking. We get a lot of, and that the Cowboys are doomed this year. There's a lot of those NFC teams that are just going to blow them out of the water. But yeah, those are my biggest impacts returning, and Texans feeling a little bit of the effects of their huge offensive piece going into the next couple weeks here. So that's what I got.
I like that. The Rams are looking a lot like, pardon me, the Niners are looking exactly like the Rams did last year. Like you said, brother, it was last year. Halfway through the season last year, they were 3-6 going into their bye
Yep.
week, which was week 10, and they only lost 1 game the rest of the year, and it was in overtime to Baltimore.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna almost see this year as well.
And with
I'm glad
Puka
you brought
Nacua
that up.
coming back as well as Cooper Kupp, we could see a repeat of the same thing. I mean, those two are such. I mean, you look at the season Puka Nacua had last year. He went bonkers, absolute sicko mode, and we know how good Cooper Kupp can be. So, I am looking forward to having them both back, and I want to see what the Rams do. The one win is against the Niners, which was pretty surprising to me, but yeah, it's going to be good to have them back with Nico Collins as well. It's shaping up to be a pretty fun year. Now, somebody who's not going to come back as I kind of hinted to earlier, mentioned it. He is going to come back, and like I said, he should not. Is Tua. Now, Tua, obviously, we all know, has a history of concussions. And I wanted to bring this up because the Dolphins are now in a very tricky spot with their quarterback situation. They have Skylar Thompson, who is butt cheeks, and Tyler Huntley, who is basically like the great value version of Lamar Jackson. Uh, those types of injuries can very much hinder a team, but it puts you in a tricky spot where one star goes down, you have to rely on somebody else. So for the Dolphins, their quarterback situation is kind of all over the place, and the Colts are kind of see this game this week against the Dolphins and Colts. It's kind of the QB flip flop matchup because Richardson goes down. He went down last year as well. And then they had to rely on Gardner Minshew. He goes down again this year. They rely on Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's obviously doing a lot better in Indy, and he did a lot better for Cleveland last year when Deshaun went down. So I want to talk a little bit about the QB situations they have all over the league because you see it every single week. You see it with a lot of teams this year. A lot of talk about certain things. And the one that I want to bring up is the Colts. Now, this seems to be a very Colts heavy episode for me because I just talked about DeForest Buckner. And no, I'm talking about Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson. Now, with the Colts record of 3-3, Joe Flacco coming in and just doing what Joe Flacco does, I don't think that they should start Anthony Richardson. And this is a conversation that we even had in the beginning of the year when I asked about when is it okay to bench a quarterback and not put him back in or flip-flop or whatever. This is a situation that I feel like your team is finding wins behind Joe Flacco, and he's a very sound and good quarterback. I don't think you should put in Anthony Richardson because he's not doing much for you. I think Joe Flacco is another Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. He's looking fantastic. He's father time. He's not aging. And granted, his latest win was against Tennessee. It was only a 3-point win, but it's still a win. Against Jacksonville, he played fantastic, but they lost. It was at Jacksonville. It was just they just bound to lose that game. So I think in this situation, if you're getting wins, you're getting wins, and I don't think you should stray away from that. Brother Caleb, what do you have on this front for quarterback?
Yeah, I did like the what you said there. Joe Flacco, he looks great. I think he's just he's a veteran of the game. He can read defenses. He's a full package. He's what you want in a quarterback. Obviously a little bit less of mobility in that department because of his age, but it is what it is. And Anthony Richardson, I wasn't really high on him to begin the season, and he hasn't really impressed me all that much. There's some little sparkles and glimmers here and there, but he's got a lot of developing to do before I really consider him to be that number one guy there. There's that, and Tennessee also. I'd like to mention them a little bit. Will Levis, as much as I love the memes, they gotta. I don't know if they want to continue riding that train or, I mean, they put in Mason Rudolph for a little bit there, and he looked pretty solid. They looked solid when they were starting him towards the end of the season for the Steelers there too for a little bit. He's another guy that's just that he's been here for a while. He can read defenses. He's kind of almost a veteran at this point. If you want to call him that now. I don't know if they're trying to hunt for wins still, maybe do something in that division, but or they just want to tank. But I know I wouldn't want to. I think I would start to look away from Will Levis because he has not been producing what you want. And I might actually think about starting Mason Rudolph there, the red-nosed reindeer. Don't and let's keep up the memes because I do love those too.
That's what I was gonna say. Please don't move on from Will Levis, please.
I mean, please don't. But And last but not least for me, Mr. Massage Man himself, get
I'm
him
so
out of
happy
here.
somebody
He
did
is
it.
Yeah.
horrible. He is not good. Um, just I would sack your losses. You had the worst
Yeah.
trade ever in the history of NFL history ever.
History, 100%.
History NFL. Yeah, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. You made the Texans into a fantastic team because of that god awful trade. So I mean, good for you. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you should sell your org. Yeah, sell it. Get rid of it. You should be
We're
gone.
back to that
Glad we're all
now.
on the same
Yeah,
train
get
now.
rid of him. Get rid of him. But yeah, Deshaun Watson, not good. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, if it's a little bit maybe the playmaking or play calling too. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's not good. You need changes, and they said they don't want to change, and so yeah, sell them.
I'm very happy that you brought that up. I'm glad
Yes, thank you.
did.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough hit for them. I mean, it's almost like they have to stick with them, and that's like the whole entire office there is probably like, yeah, we're kind of screwed here. Like
That's kind of what I was
they're
thinking
almost
too.
forced. You can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, they really can't do anything. Their hands are tied there, so it kind of sucks for them. But you got to eat it. That's what you get for making the worst trade in history. Is it me?
yeah,
Of
brother.
course.
That's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. Okay. I wanted to take a little different approach into the QB conversation topic.
Yeah, don't do that.
I wanted to take the
do what you
time to talk about our favorite teams in the whole entire NFL. Me being
Buffalo
obviously
Bills.
the best franchise in the league, even though this year we're separated a little bit from that. Dallas Cowboys and your guys' Buffalo Bills, their QB situations. Now, when I look at our team, Dak Prescott being now the highest paid player in the whole entire history of the NFL, simply enough, he has to play better. Yes, we only have the one receiver. He doesn't have a lot of offenses or offensive. We have no run game, absolutely none. Our wide receiver pieces are literally just CD. That's it. But this is what I'm going to transition into. You guys are going to really like this piece, what I have to say, into your team. But for 60 mil, and that's what I've been nicknaming the whole entire year, 60 mil, you have to be that Commander and Chiefs. Yeah, I know I hate that I did that too. But for the highest paid, you have to act like the highest paid. I don't care if you have all wide receiver threes on your team, no run game, whatever it is. You have to be that guy and prove yourself that you are worth the earned highest paid player in the history of the sport. He is kind of in that. He's good. Don't get me wrong. On the team, I like Dak, but I'm afraid for the contract in the next 4 years. Even this year, he has to be on that top level. The only thing I've seen him do is losing the postseason. The postseason. This year, a lot of red zone turnovers, a lot of mistakes, getting close to the end zone. Not good. Starting picking up those interceptions again. I know he was tied for the league highest interceptions when he was out for a couple weeks. He was injured for like 4 weeks, and he still had the highest interceptions in the league. I'm starting to see that again. A lot of turnovers. You can't be doing that as the highest paid. The only reason why I believe he's positioned like that is because he's good in the division. He beats up on the teams that are under 500, non-playoff teams, and the absolute beast of the NFC East. He'll beat those teams 2 times every single time, no matter what. He has a great record in the division. Which is, I'm going to transition over to the Bills and their QB situation, which I think you guys will know this answer right off the bat. How many turnovers, how many interceptions has Josh Allen thrown this year? 0.
Not one.
0. He's been 8 weeks in a row without a single thrown interception. Much like the Cowboys going into the offseason, losing Diggs, losing 50% of their offensive pieces, losing all these. Everyone in the offseason had this big question, what the heck are the Bills going to do? They have no offense. And look at their team now. You look at Josh Allen, he is the commander and Chiefs. He's leading that team. I did it again, but
Something about Josh
it's just
Allen and
a.
Chiefs in the same sentence just irks me to my
But
core.
I know I had to do it. But you look at him, and he's almost like it's not this far. So don't get on your high horse here when I say or high horse when I say this. It's almost like a Brady esque where he has no receivers and make them into receivers. It's not that far. I'm not giving him that much credit,
Fine.
but it's the same thing. The questions, we have no offense, and he's clearly the best player on the team. MVP conversation. 0 interceptions through 8 weeks. 10 touchdown throws. He is more looking like 60 mil than Dak Prescott is, which those two QB situations is what I got. That's what I want to see from the highest paid NFL player in history, and that's why I'm kind of scared. Going into the 4 weeks, that's the difference in the teams there. Almost similar offensive like opportunity here going in through the offense and starting into the season. Completely different stories. You guys are the clear winners of the division. We're like we're going to be battling Giants for the last spot in the division, I believe, this year. So, yeah, barring all the injuries that we have on the defensive side, too, and new defensive coordinator and all that. But, yeah, for our offense, we just simply have to be better for Dak. But, yeah, that was my different approach on the QB. I think you guys will be pleasantly happy with that, what I had to say about
Yeah,
that.
it's nice. That's a nice little sprinkle.
Go Bills.
I do want to bring up one team, one final team, and I want everybody to put their input. This is kind of a little sidebar. It's okay. It's not okay. It's like a little mini game, a little side quest. Oh my God, the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are we doing? What are we doing? Russell Wilson is getting first team reps in practice, and they're going to sideline Justin Fields for Russell Wilson. They are 4-2. They are first in the AFC North, one of the better teams in the league this year, based on record. They obviously are not the greatest offensive team, but do we really think that putting Russell Wilson in this offense, especially after the year he had last year, is going to help them at all? You're 4-2. Why are you shaking anything up? I think this is a mistake. I think Mike Tomlin should have came straight out and said, no, Justin Fields is our starter. He will be our starter as long as he's healthy. Kind of like the Colts did with Anthony Richardson. For them to put in Russell Wilson, I get it. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's been twice. He's a veteran. He knows the game. But Justin Fields is winning you games right now. He is winning you games. And he doesn't have a stupid freaking slogan. Oh, Broncos country, let's ride. Justin Fields doesn't say anything like that. Why would he? It's a big mistake. I don't like the move from the Steelers. Honestly, I don't know what it's going to do for chemistry in the locker room. I don't know what it's going to do for Justin Fields, psyche. What do you guys think about Russell Wilson starting for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, actually, our cousin, the one that was on here last week, if you didn't watch that one, go watch it. He brought up a good point earlier because he's a Steelers fan. Um, well, I wouldn't say good point because still, it's no explanation to the whole thing. But he was basically saying that if Justin Fields performs to the certain extent, then that conditional trade that they made for the draft pick is going to be for a higher round. So if obviously he does a little bit worse, and they do Russell Wilson instead, they won't have to trade up the higher draft pick. But even with all that, I mean, he has thrown what is it like 10 or 11 touchdowns and only one interception. Like he's been fine. I don't think he is the issue. I think a lot of it is the play calling still. I think they can figure out better ways to use their weapons, like George Pickens. Maybe I mean even look for a trade. I mean there's plenty of receivers out there still. I mean their choices are limited now, but I think they should have looked elsewhere to solve their issues. I don't see the reason behind it. Maybe Russell Wilson is cooking in practices, but I don't know. For me, I don't see it. I think you should have rocked with what's been working. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what Russell Wilson can do, and if it turns out poorly, then I think it'll be a very, very horrible decision, and they will look back on that change, and they'll probably wish they never did it. So
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
yeah, just real quick for me is I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think it's a horrible decision too. I actually think Justin Fields is pretty good. What I would say is they should utilize his run game a lot more than they have this year on offense. But for me too is just your Matt Canada led offense to an Arthur Smith led offense. The reason he was fired from the Falcons is he poorly utilized
Yeah.
their essential pieces for the Falcons, and now he's just on the Steelers. I don't think that's really too big of an upgrade there. So I think I'm just gonna say that's probably the main problem. I really like Justin Fields. They should utilize his more running. But yeah, I also think who knows? Maybe Russ goes in there and he does cook it up. But for now, the season, the leading, and the way he's performed, I think switching him out now is probably not a great idea. But
Yeah, I hate the move. I really do. Justin Fields, no, is not nearly the most accurate in the league. He will miss passes that should have been made, but like brother said, he's been involved in 10 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. He has 5 rushing and 5 passing. The dude gets it done. He scores touchdowns. He doesn't turn the ball over. Obviously, the only thing that we have to look into, I say we like we're a part of the Steelers organization. We make these decisions, but
we do. We're the insiders. Remember, we got all the inside information.
oh, inside of yeah, that's right. That's right. His ball security, but that's pretty much it. Still has 0 interceptions, 5 touchdowns, throwing, 5 touchdowns, rushing. The dude's getting it done. I think it's a mistake, but I digress. We're gonna move on to everyone's favorite part of the week.
It's time for It's Okay. It's Not Okay.
And for this week, you guys like that? The soundboard.
Oh my God, you hit the sound effect.
That's
on
pretty
it.
cool.
So, this kind of brings me back to my high school days, specifically hockey. So we had a rival team, and we were playing them in the playoffs. They always beat us every single year in the playoffs. And we went to this game, and we printed out signs. Now, these signs were not normal signs. They were different signs. So, I'm going to lead into this. Is it okay to bring signs of the opposing player's family members, like their sisters or mom, to a game to try to rattle them? Or is it not okay? So I'm going to preface this by saying we went to these hockey games, and most of the people at our school printed out, they either had like text strings with player sisters or like Snapchat usernames or like profile pictures
my
or like
God.
so they came with signs of these player sisters and they held them behind our goalie. So like when they went to shoot, all they saw was like their sister. So my question is it okay or is it not okay? And we're gonna start with you, brother Caleb.
Yeah. You know, the hockey games. I like that example too, because I mean, every time I went to one myself, you know, I'm immediately looking up their names, the other team's names. I'm sitting behind the enemy goalie and I'm chirping them the whole entire game. I mean, I'm trying my absolute hardest to get in his head, no matter what it is. Like, there was this one goalie. His name was Corbin, and I thought it was just really funny. I'm sorry for all the Corbins out there. I found that name hilarious, so I was just saying his name in multiple different ways, not very nice ways. I was talking so much trash to Mr. Corbin over here, but yeah,
I think to that extent, I think it's fine. However, going the extra length to look up the family members, as fun as it may be, and how aggravating for the other team. They're definitely get in their heads. Don't get me wrong. If you're gonna try to get in their heads by doing that, if that's your end goal, then it's certainly probably gonna work. But to that extent, going that far, I think we gotta keep the family members out of it. I don't think they want anything to do with it. So I don't know. I just think that might be crossing a line for me. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about it. For me, at least, it's crossing the line. I think we gotta keep the family members out.
Brother Justin?
Oh, it's me. Yeah, I pretty much have to agree there. Uh, they what I'm gonna say is they call it home field advantage for a reason, is because the fans are supposed to chirp you. They're supposed to rattle you. They're supposed to make you not be able to hear your cadences because they're screaming so loud that we just scored a touchdown and you didn't. Um, but yeah, it's when you cross. I think that is like crossing, like doing the extra yard to look up like family members. That's a little too personal. At the end of the day, we all got to remember this is just a game. And I put that simply. Yes, it's a game that we all love, and it's very competitive, and people make a lot of money off of it. But it is a game. It's supposed to be for fun. Yeah, competitive nature in sports is a great thing, but taking it that extra step just to rattle the opponent, getting the best advantage you can. I think we leave that out. Rattle them any other way, like Buffalo fans throwing snowballs. That might be a little bit far, far too. But yeah, rattle them any other way you can think of, but bring it in like people that aren't even a part of the game and in their personal lives. I'm gonna say it's not okay.
Damn, I guess I'm the dick. So I'm gonna say this: as long as you keep it respectful, obviously, if there's embarrassing things or expletive pictures, don't do that. Don't, you know, put the family in a compromising position. But if it's literally just like a profile picture that they have out in public anyway, I don't see the harm in it. Uh, if they were able to get like basically just don't make it personal. Uh, just pictures, fine. Uh, if you have text message strings with the person, like if you screenshot text messages and make a sign out of it with their sister, and it's kind of messed up, leave it out of, you know, the stands. But I'd say like if it's out there in public, there could be a lot worse things to have happen. So if you're just printing out a sign and bringing it to a game, I think it's hilarious, as long as it's not embarrassing or what have you. So for that reason, I'm gonna say it's okay.
I'd say that's pretty fair. Respectful is fair. But
Yeah, like snowballs, obviously keep ice out of it. It's kind of like that. Keep it a snowball. Don't put ice in it.
all right, well, yeah, you heard the two opposing sides there. You know how we feel about it. Let us know how you feel about it. Go over on Twitter at the Fastcast everywhere. You'll find us on TikTok. You'll find us on Twitter. On Twitter specifically is where we're going to be posting it. It's okay. It's not okay this week. Let us know. Vote on it. And thank you for joining us today. We're going to be every Thursday, 8 a.m. Week 6. We're almost halfway through the fantasy season this year. Getting closer towards halfway through. It flew by. Like, oh my, it's crazy how we're almost halfway through. But yeah, follow us again, Fastcast everywhere. We'll see you next week as well at 8 a.m. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Go Bills.